Dubai can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. Whether you make $1,000 a month or $100,000 a month, there is a lifestyle for you in Dubai. So in this video, I will go over the 7 levels of income in Dubai and describe to you what kind of lifestyle you can expect to live all the way from $1,000 a month to $100,000 a month and beyond. Because the very unique thing about Dubai is that there is a massive range of the kinds of lifestyles you can access. You can live on a very low budget. In fact, in this video, I'm going to show you precisely how you could, although you probably wouldn't want to, live on $1,000 a month in Dubai. But then also on the top end, the ceiling is almost limitless. You can access the most expensive, highest quality luxury in the world in Dubai. So whatever your income is, you can live in Dubai, and there's always higher levels for you to strive to. What's really also great about Dubai is that whatever income level you're at, you have pretty much the highest value to price ratio out of pretty much any city in the world. And obviously a lot of that is because you don't have to pay any taxes. We need to remember that if you're talking about a budget of, let's say, $10,000 a month, and you're comparing that in Dubai versus in other city like London or New York City, you need to remember that in London or New York City, to be able to spend that money, to even have it accessible to you, you would need to make at least double that because of taxes. So if you are interested in relocating to Dubai by setting up a business there and moving your residency there, you can get a free consultation with my team down below in the description, with whom we have helped more than 700 people legally relocate to Dubai. And with us, the process can be completed in as little as 1 week. And by the way, we also have a 100% satisfaction rating from all of our clients. And if you don't believe me, you can just look at our Google reviews, look at our Trustpilot reviews. And if you're still not convinced, you can just get that free consultation, ask any questions you have. We can explain the process to you, and then you can move forward if you feel like it is the right fit for you. With that said, let's start with the lowest budget level in Dubai, which is $1,000 a month. And by the way, all of these budget levels assume that you're spending this much. So obviously that would probably mean that your income should be higher than it, because ideally you're not spending your entire income. So whatever your savings percentage that you want to have is, just deduct that from your income, and that will get you the spending level, which is what we're talking about here in this video. So talking about $1,000 a month, most people wouldn't even believe that it's possible to live for $1,000 a month in Dubai, but it is actually possible, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Now obviously at this level, you probably can't even afford to set up a company there, and in 99% of cases, if you can live from anywhere, you would probably rather go to a place like Southeast Asia, like Thailand or Malaysia or something. So rent is going to be obviously your biggest expense here, but you can rent for less than $1,000. In fact, right here, we have an apartment for 21,000 AED a year, which comes out to roughly $700 a month, roughly, like after bills and something like that. You can see not the nicest place at all. Looks kind of dated, but it's going to be in a building where you have air conditioning. It's still going to be safe, because every single area in Dubai is safe. It's going to be in an area called International City, which has access to everything you need. It's going to have a grocery store in walking distance. Pretty much everything you need is going to be there. So it's still like a reasonable quality of life. So that leaves you with $300 a month for your entire lifestyle, which is going to be very, very difficult to do. But if you just budget, for example, $8 a day on food, which would come out to $250 a month, you could have for breakfast, you could buy eggs from a grocery store, 15 eggs for 13.75 dirhams, eat 5 eggs a day for breakfast, plus some instant coffee, we'll call that 5 dirhams for your breakfast. For lunch, you'll have shawarma, so you can even literally order this, or you can eat it outside. For lunch, shawarma, in general, Lebanese food, Arabic food can be very cheap. That's 10 dirhams roughly for lunch. For dinner, you have something like this, which is diced chicken breast, 500 grams, which can get you 2 dinners. So that's 15 dirhams per meal, and you get some cheap rice with it or something like that. And that will leave you $50 on miscellaneous stuff. You probably cannot take taxis anywhere. You're going to use the public transport if you're going to go anywhere. So obviously not a very glamorous life. I'm not going to pretend this. And again, and at this level, you are surviving, but you are still safe. You have everything you need around you. You will be working from your apartment. Hopefully you have a laptop or something like that, so you can work to grow your income so you can increase that spending a bit. But obviously at this level, you cannot experience any of Dubai. And like I said, in most cases, there's no reason for you to live in Dubai if you can only spend $1,000 a month. And that is why this level is called surviving. And you're probably barely surviving in most cases. Now, level number 2 is going to be $2,000 a month, which is the budget level. So here you have a bit more comfort. Like you don't have to go for the absolute cheapest apartment out there. You could look to spend, for example, $1,000 a month on rent, which you can do actually in quite a reasonable area. You could look to areas like Jumeirah Village Triangle, Jumeirah Village Circle, Arjan. These are like quite reasonable budget areas that a lot of entry-level people who are working in, say, real estate or something like that will often go to. If you just search for this on Property Finder, you can see that there's quite a lot of decent looking apartments for under around 40,000 dirhams a year, which would come out to roughly $1,000 a month after bills. So $1,000 a month on rent, leaving you with $1,000. So again, you're still going to be eating pretty cheaply. Let's say you spend $500 a month on food. That's $16 a day. So you're still going to eat your cheap 5 eggs for breakfast with some instant coffee. For lunch, you could even order this on Careem for roughly 30 dirhams a meal. What you want to do is look at the discount section. They have a lot of discounts happening all the time. So you can often get like 50% off, 40% off or something like that. So you can get a reasonable meal, a healthy meal for like 30 dirhams. And then for dinner, you could get something like a healthy ready meal, giving you roughly 60 dirhams per day, which is $16 a day, which is $500 a month on food. For transport, you're still going to be using buses and the public transport, which Dubai does have. I mean, it's not the greatest public transport system, but they do have it in Dubai and you can use it if you need to. Maybe a couple of times you can take a Careem or something, but you're really going to have the budget to not go over this $2,000 a month budget. So at this level, you have some breathing room. You're not living in the worst apartment. Like, it's a pretty reasonable apartment where you can live, but it's not going to be in a nice area. Again, so you're still not really experiencing Dubai. Maybe you can eat out a couple of times, so you're really going to have to penny pinch and budget everything that you spend money on, and you're really still going to be better off going to somewhere like Southeast Asia if this is the budget they're going to expect to have available to you. Now, this brings us to level number 3, which is $4,000 a month. And this is what I call the comfortable level. For like a normal person lifestyle, this is a pretty comfortable budget to have in Dubai. For rent, you could spend around $2,000 a month, giving you 88,000 dirhams a year as your budget. And if we just look for this budget on Property Finder, looking at a maximum of 80k a year, so after bills, it would be roughly like what I just told you. You could live in a pretty reasonable area and in a pretty nice building even. You could even get a 1-bedroom rather than a studio. You could live in like what I call tier 2 areas like JLT, Business Bay, which aren't quite in the main areas, but they're close enough to them, so you get almost the same experience in, for example, Business Bay as something like downtown, but not quite, and you're a bit further away. The area itself isn't quite as nice, but it's a pretty nice lifestyle that you can live. And at this level, people from your home country might even start to look at you and be kind of jealous. You get to live in this amazing city with great safety, great weather. You could occasionally post on Instagram of you going to some nice place or something like that. You could spend perhaps 90 dirhams a day on food, which would come out to like $750 a month. And at this budget, you're gonna need pretty much everything you want except for like nice restaurant. Like, you're not going out every day, but you could order pretty much anything you want on Careem. Again, because of a lot of the discounts. If you know which credit cards to use, which I've made videos on, you can get even more discounts that way. You can use something like the Entertainer app to again get buy one get one free offers at a lot of restaurants. So you could even go out every now and then. So that will leave you with $1,250 to spend on a lifestyle, which would actually for the first time allow you to even go enjoy some of the experiences that Dubai has to offer. Maybe you go jet skiing one time, or you go to the desert, or you have a couple of dinners out, or you go on some dates. But again, at this level still, you are budgeting. Like, you cannot do whatever you want. You can do a couple of things here and there, but most of your time is still going to be spent grinding just to try to increase that budget to really enjoy what Dubai has to offer. But for most people, this is already a comfortable life that you could live without really having to suffer like on those previous levels. So that brings us to level number 4, which is $8,000 a month. This is what I call very comfortable. And this is actually my budget level currently. And I'm not like trying to budget, but this is just how much I end up spending living the kind of life that I just want to live. I live a pretty simple life. Like I don't care too much about most materialistic things that would cost a lot of money. So this is just what I end up spending without really restricting myself. And at this level, I'm even able to pay for my girlfriend, pay for all of her expenses. For rent, I was spending around $4,000 to $4,500 a month after bills, which gets me a very nice 1-bedroom apartment in a tier 1 area. I'll put some clips on the screen of what it looks like. A very spacious place, around 1,000 square feet. I even have a property tour of that apartment on this channel if you're interested. I spend roughly $1,000 a month on food, which is quite a lot to spend on food, to be fair. And that is because I do like to enjoy going on dinners here and there, having breakfast outside or something like that. But most of the time, I still eat the 5 eggs for breakfast, which is actually the lowest budget level example that I gave. That's actually my breakfast that I eat to this day because it's just healthy, it's cheap, it's very easy. For lunch, most of the time we'll order something on Korean for perhaps 60 dirhams a meal or something like that. That's again for 2 people. And most of the time my girlfriend will cook for me. We do buy nice groceries and stuff like that, but every now and then we do go outside because there just are so many amazing restaurants to experience in Dubai, which I like to do. Going to a beach club every 2 weeks or something like that, where I might spend 700 dirhams for 2 people or something like that. We go on dates nights, we go experience things in Dubai, we go to the desert. And at this level, you can do pretty much everything you want without really having to worry, but you are still kind of looking at the bill. You are conscious of how much you're spending. And especially if you have a very active social life, you like going out all the time, your work isn't so busy that you can do that. That's also what limits me. Like most of the time, I just prefer to stay inside and work. Again, I live quite a simple life, but if you don't live a super simple life, you really want to experience Dubai and you don't even want to have to look at the bills, you are still kind of restricted at this level. And when you do spend a lot, let's say you spend 1,000 dirhams for 2 people on a nice brunch or something, it does still kind of sting and you are still aware that you're spending money. Now this brings us to the next level, which is $20,000 a month. And this is what I call a luxury. Like at this level, you can really do whatever you want in Dubai. Sure, you're still not living in a villa in the Palm. You don't have a luxury cars or something, but on the normal kind of things you might want to do, you can do absolutely whatever you want and you don't even need to look at the bill. On rent, you could spend $9,000 a month, $8,000 a month. For example, you could get something like this, which is a 2-bedroom in one of the nicest buildings in downtown. So you're living not only in one of the nicest areas, but also in one of the nicest buildings, the luxury buildings in this area. This is Address Skyviews, one of the buildings that I definitely want to live in at some point in the future. So this is 395,000 dirhams a year, which is probably around $8,000 to $9,000 a month after bills. You can even rent a nice car at this budget. Even in the previous budget, you could have rented like an entry-level car for like $1,000 a month. At this budget, you could even spend $2,000 to $3,000 a month renting like a nicer car, not like a luxury car or anything, but like a pretty decent car. You can even hire a maid, perhaps. You could hire an assistant or something like that. And at this level and the previous level, you don't have to do any of your cleaning for yourself. You don't have to do your laundry. You can get all of that done by a Kareem very, very affordably. And at this level, you can really enjoy the dining, the beach club experiences. You could be spending $4,000 a month just on lifestyle, beach clubs every week, not even getting the cheapest place at the beach club, or like one of the nicest cabanas and whatever with higher minimum spend. You could go to events and you can really also start to invest in your health. You can hire a personal trainer, a tennis coach or something like that. You could do private boat trips, like really enjoy everything that Dubai has to offer and all the convenience that you have access to. However, you still kind of need to calculate some things. You're still not living in the nicest of the nicest place, and you're still seeing people perhaps that you meet at events or the boat parties that you go to that are at a higher level. They live in a nice villa in the Palm or something like that. You still can't quite access. You can't afford to rent a Lamborghini or something like that, and you obviously see those all the time. So you might want to strive for the next level, which is $50,000 a month, that I call ultra luxury. And at this level, you can really do everything you want. And I know I've already said that for the previous levels. You can rent a villa in the Palm, 1.2 million dirhams a year just in rent, which comes out to roughly $27,000 a month in rent. This is a 5-bedroom, 7,000 square foot. You could rent a Lambo, you could have a driver that you hire, and you can really start to buy your time back even more. You can go on even nicer yacht parties, you can charter yachts, you can do regular shopping at Dubai Mall, at designer stores, you can have your Rolexes, perhaps your supercar, everything like that. However, the reality is that you're still not in the top 0.1% of Dubai. There's still people you meet who are at an even higher level. They're spending stupid money that you could not even imagine. Which brings us to level 7, which I was gonna call this $100,000 a month, but really this is unlimited, because I could keep just describing more and more and more levels, because the thing about Dubai is that there really is no limit. Like, whatever money you have available to spend, you can spend that in Dubai if you want to. Just looking at here, for example, 3.3 million a year in Atlantis the Royale, 3 bedrooms, 3,000 square foot, absolutely insane apartment with amazing views of the Palm. It's in Atlantis the Royale, which is pretty much the most luxurious hotel in Dubai. And this isn't even the biggest place you can get there. So there's always levels above this. There's always more cars you can buy and rent. There's always more $1,000 steak dinners that you can go have. You could have multiple cars. You could have your Rolls Royce with a driver. You could have a helicopter jet on standby. I don't even know all the things because this is so far beyond my level. Here we have seen how you could live in Dubai for very, very cheap, and the things that you have access to the more money you make. Again, whatever level you're at, just because of the fact that you don't have to pay 50% to the government in order to get absolutely nothing back, you can probably get a better lifestyle here than you could elsewhere, because whatever level we're looking at here, we need to remember that this is post-tax income. So if you make $10,000 a month, you could theoretically spend $10,000 a month, although hopefully you would be saving money. Whereas in something like London, you could only even theoretically spend like $6,000 a month on that income. So that is really the value of Dubai. And because of that tax-free income, you're obviously also saving a lot of money, which will quickly get you to the point where you should start thinking about buying property rather than just renting property. Throughout this video, we were assuming that you're renting, but in Dubai, it actually makes a lot of sense to buy rather than rent, at least if you're looking to live here long term. And I don't expect you to take my word for this. So I actually did the full math on renting versus buying in Dubai to determine exactly which one is better and in what situations. And I covered that math in that video right there, where I go through the full guide on buying versus renting in Dubai, the process, the pros and cons, everything like that. So if you're interested in that, go watch that video next, and I will see you in the next one.